How you doing, everyone? Sam here, United People's TV. Sometimes I do a little dance along to that. I have that song in my head so much every single day. But look, how are we all doing? What day is it? Wednesday, the 10th of January. It's still freezing. Freezing. It's not actually that cold. It's pretty cold, though. How are we doing? I said that about 3 or 4 times. What a weird intro to a show. We're going to be speaking about Jadon Sancho, the details of the loan that is finally looking like it's going to be going through today or tomorrow. I'll run through the details on the wages, and it looks like Dortmund are going to be paying more of the wages than I thought. We're also going to be speaking about Jim Ratcliffe. He's going to be attending his first Old Trafford game since the takeover against Spurs. That's what's been reported. We're also going to speak about Jean-Claude Blanc and the CEO position. We're going to speak about, what else have I got here? Lisandro Martinez. Could he return against Spurs? I'd love it if he's fit. That's the big question. And then, to be fair, there's quite a few other talking points. But look, good morning to all of you. I hope you're well. I'm looking forward to the show. As always, I will answer as many questions of yours with your comments as I can. And yeah, you know what it is. It's an interactive show. It's the community. Let's see who's here from the community. Member gang. Josh, good morning to you. Brian, Andrew, Klein, and Chris. Nice to see you all there. Angela, Caston, Bully, Saeed, Edwich, Teresa, Kieran. We've got Nathan, Toby, Anuj, and Jonesy. How you doing, everyone? Carl, you're there too. Who's on Facebook? Let's have a look. We've got Mahideen, Wayne Reason, Gavin Thompson, Mark Fossey. We've got Jonathan Rose. How you doing, man? Jay Banham, Ramalingam, and we've got Rob Richbell. Good morning to all of you. And Shax coming in strong with a little gifted membership. Who do you give that to? It means you're like best buds now if you gift a membership like that. Oh, wow. Chris, you just gifted 5 as well. Jeez. I'm looking forward to having a conversation about that Ashworth video that I did yesterday as well. Been working on that for a long old time. Let's get the gong out. Little cheeky. I'm only tickling the gong these days. I don't want to break it. But can we say, to kick off this show, is Carrick, undefeated, by the way, as manager against Chelsea. Middlesbrough beating Chelsea 1-0 last night. They were good for it as well. Wasn't exactly, I wouldn't say it was a snatch and grab. Chelsea are crap. I mean, I know we're bad. Like, I appreciate we're bad. But Chelsea are just, ugh. And it couldn't happen to a nicer club. I hope they continue down this path. In fact, I hope that Todd Bowley comes in and spends another 400 million on 8 signings that he decides that the club needs. That's what I would love to see. But Middlesbrough winning in the first leg of the Carabao semi-final. And he's now got to go Stamford Bridge. As I said, he's been Stamford Bridge before, of course, as Manchester United interim manager, and we got a 1-1 draw. What were the 3 results he had? It was away in Spain, wasn't it? Was it Valencia? Was it Villarreal? It might have been Villarreal. What were the 3 games under Carrick? That'd be a good pub quiz question, wouldn't it? It was Chelsea, and then was it Arsenal at home? Did we beat Arsenal at home? I'm going to go down here in the comments, actually. I want to see what you're saying down here. I know it was 2 wins. Was it 2 wins and a draw? 1 and 2 draws? I know it was undefeated. I can't remember what the 3 games were. So, yeah, was it the Arsenal game? Was it Villarreal, Arsenal, and Chelsea? I think I got it right then. Come on. Woo. That's 10 points for me there. That's a really good pub quiz question. Was it after the Arsenal game at home where he just announced his resignation? Remember that? Anyway, big up Carrick. Of all the former United players who are kind of stepping into management, Carrick is one who's it's like Xabi Alonso being a good manager is kind of no surprise to anybody. Because when you play in that area of the pitch and your head's on a pivot and a swivel and you're constantly looking at every single position and you know where every player is, you have to understand the game more. You have to be, from a football IQ perspective, you have to be smarter than your average footballer. So to me, it's no surprise seeing Carrick do well. And Carrick and McKenna are 2, whenever the Solskjaer reign came to an end. And everybody was just, I'll boot everybody out. They're all crap. Kieran McKenna came to United from Spurs with a massive reputation from what he did with the youth team. He only got promoted to United's assistant manager after Rui Faria left. randomly. And McKenna's nailing it with Ipswich. I'm looking forward to seeing what Carrick does as a manager. And there's far more chance of Michael Carrick becoming a United manager in the future than there is for Wayne Rooney. Has Steven Gerrard been sacked yet? I think he's gone like 2 months without winning a game in Saudi Arabia, by the way. 2 months without winning a game in Saudi Arabia. Him and Lampard, woeful managers. Solskjaer is a better manager than both of them. But yeah, look at that. Big up Carrick. That's what I want to say. Oh, Gongshi, Madon. I'm going to hit the namesake. The Gongshi's out. Little tiny tickle. Tiny tickle? What's that the name of the goalkeeper the other night? Wigan's goalkeeper was called Tickle, wasn't he? It's an unfortunate second name, really. Let me see what you're saying in the comments here. Carrick didn't have to be that, mate. Carrick didn't have to be a destroyer. Carrick didn't really have to tackle when he was in midfield because he'd always predict where the pass was going to go. He was that good. The awareness, he was always a step ahead. That's what made him such a great footballer. I want to say down here as well, by the way, this is fair play to Spurs for this. Bayern Munich came in at the last minute, tried to sort of hijack the deal. Dragusin had two options, and he chose Spurs. I think it's a sort of a testament to the project that Spurs is right now. And it is an exciting project. Like, you're allowed to, you don't just have to, I mean, you could have the football discourse where you just slag everybody and you say nobody's got any positives to look at, left, right, or center. If you want to, and it's kind of boring because it's not true, but wherever you do whatever you need to do to be noticed online, I suppose. But Spurs have done a lot of good. And I think something they've particularly done well is that their recruitment has been, and I keep saying this to everybody because it's so true. You don't need me to tell you it, but you can match the success and the growth of football clubs by how well they do in the market. Like Destiny Udoka coming in, James Maddison going in there, Kulusevski. There are signings that cut Van der Ven, signings that come in and make a big impact on the team, take the team upwards. Funny that. And yeah, fair play to Spurs for that. That's what I wanted to point out. And this is what I want. This is what I want to see United just doing more of. Like Dragusin, 30 million euros. It's not your is it Antonio Silva from Benfica? Massive prospect. He's going to cost north of 75 million. Jean-Claire Todibo, he's probably going to cost twice as much as that. Porro's another good signing they made. These are the signings that I would love to see United making more of successfully. It's not to say that Dragusin's like this complete unknown. He's not. He's played for, well, he came through Juventus' youth team. He's played in Serie A. But it's about plucking those players who, I mean, they might not be quite there yet, but with really solid coaching for a year, they could become that player who's worth 60 million euros. They're the players that you need to blend. If United are going to have a budget of 200 million in the summer, I would much rather us buy, I don't know, 5 players around about the 40 million euro mark rather than 2 big 75 million euro signings, because that's not what we need. We need to raise the technical floor of our football club, and we need better spotting of signings. I think that's. Hey, look, I'm not saying that Dragusin's a guarantee; it might not work out, but given Spurs' recent track record, I think they've done quite well. It's a fair play to them, given the fact that he chose them over Bayern. Now, something I want to quickly have a chat about here, which. One second there. Let me pull this up. Let me share that link. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who supported, dropped a like on the video, shared the video that I did on Dan Ashworth yesterday. These videos take a long time to make. And when it comes to creating United content, it is easily the most competitive space online for any football club. You've got the United stand. You've got like 1.7 million subscribers. You've got Stretford Paddock as well, and you've got United View, and I'm sure there's others in between. What I'm going to try and do with these videos is raise that level, raise that quality bar, because there's so much United content. You can just do 3 live shows a day and then you don't have to do anything else if you want to, because there is so many talking points that you can make content out of. But the reason I'm trying to be different with these is I think these are the important conversations that we should be having. There should be more focus around deep dives of people who could be coming in and leading this football club for the next 5, 6, 10, however many years. And no one else is going to do these. So if you can, drop a like on the video. If you can, share it. Because these videos do take so much longer to do. There's so many more resources. It was me, it was Miles, it was Steve, it was Ronnie, it was George, it was scripting, it was research, it was editing, it was putting it together. Draft 1, draft 2, draft 3. Justin, you're asking whether I'm going to do a video on Paul Mitchell. Yeah. The next video that we're planning to do is something around Paul Mitchell, because, again, there's more information that I think United fans not need educating on, but I think United fans would enjoy having, because I like to think that after you watch that Dan Ashworth video, you probably know a bit more about him than before you did. I like to think that after watching the Jean-Claude Blanc video, you know a bit more about him than before you watched it. And we're going to have an interesting conversation about the CEO later. After there was an article this morning from The Athletic, which is quite interesting. But yeah, big up to everybody who helped and got involved on that. And actually, I thought that video, the other video I did yesterday, was quite nice. Big up your own content, Sam. Mind your ego and all that jazz. But yeah, just took a look at lots of the youngsters who are coming through the academy sides. It's why I really, really want to get Nick Cox on for an interview. I think it'll be a great video, because we've got Mainu coming through, he's 18. You've got Garnacho, who's 19. You've got Amir Ibrahimov there, who's 15. And then you've got Jace Fitzgerald, who's 16. You've got the Fletcher twins, who are 16. You've got Gabriel Bianchetti, who's 17. I didn't even mention him yesterday. You've also got Dan Gore. You've got Willie Cambuala. The crop of youngsters that we've got at this moment in time feels as strong as it has in a long old time. It really does. And I think the players that are coming through and will be sort of popping their head up towards the first team are of a higher level than they have been in a while. And not everybody will get through that. And I think a few people mentioned yesterday about Isaac Hansen Aaron not being on that list. And truth be told, I think Hansen Aaron is probably likely to leave the club. And I can't blame him for choosing so. I think if you look at that team that faced Wigan, we had Bayindir and we had Heaton on the bench. And I honestly, I never will understand having 2 keepers on the bench. I do not get it. But because of the position that Hansen Aaron plays in, he is that number 10. He's that creative spark between the midfielder and the attack to link it. It's just a position where there isn't an opportunity at Manchester United. Unfortunately for him. And we signed him in 2020. But yeah, I do expect Hansen Aaron to leave. And I think he'll go on to be a very decent player elsewhere. But it's just that he's not going to get those chances ahead of Bruno Fernandes. It doesn't matter how, well, to a certain degree, it doesn't matter how good you are as a talented youngster at Manchester United. You need to be in a position where we need players. If Kobbie Mainoo was coming through right now into a midfield which had Carrick and Scholes, do you think we'd be seeing much of Mainoo? We probably still would be. I'm not saying that he just wouldn't exist, but his opportunities would be far more limited. And I think, unfortunately, for Hansen Aaron, that's kind of what it's going to be like. And I think his contract runs out in the summer. So therefore, it's likely that he leaves. Alvaro Fernandez's contract runs out in the summer as well. Had a really good loan spell at Granada. Last season, I think he was on loan at Preston. Just United are producing some really top level players. I think that's probably why United fans are annoyed that they're not all coming into the first team. They probably won't all come into the first team. I would love Hansen Aaron to sign a new contract. I don't think he will. I think he's probably going to be annoyed at United. I think he'll, and I can semi understand it. But yeah, I think he'll leave. But anyway, we've got a great crop coming through. Now, speaking from the opposite of a great crop, a tainted crop, tainted individual. Might be a harsh way to describe him, but Jadon Sancho. Somebody who, if you're talking about excitement levels, I think that's a good question, actually. What signing of the last, let's go 5 years, what signing were you most excited about when we brought him in? I'll be interested to know what names come in the comments, because Sancho is definitely one of the signings I was most excited by, because we were signing somebody who I thought was going to solve our right wing problems, somebody who was young, somebody who he had his whole career ahead of him. Sancho felt like such a United signing, like signing the absolute best British players, combining that with the best of foreign talent as well. Is how we built our most successful teams. Sancho coming to United, it felt right. And it's not gone anywhere near right. Let me see what you're saying down here in the comments. Cavani? Someone says, man, come on, man. I know Cavani was good, but it was a loan signing. Cavani wasn't loan, wasn't he? I think he was. Bruno says Ray. Pogba says Mania. Ronaldo says D. Look, we all got swept away by that Ronaldo return. And like anybody who was lucky enough to go to the Newcastle game, you thought, this is it, we're back. But ultimately, that Ronaldo transfer is, and I will happily argue this with anybody, that's one of the worst decisions that we made as a football club in the last 5 years or so, probably a little bit longer than that. And that's not just Captain Hindsight speaking, right? Ronaldo was never part of any plan. Anything that Solskjaer was working towards did not have Ronaldo's name in it. And it's sort of everything got torn up because of Ronaldo. Anyway, I'd happily argue that with a lot of people, but I think I might get a few people punching back at me for that one. Martinez says down that lots of Martinez. Honestly, Sancho for me is probably one of those signings, one of the most excited signings. One of the signings I've been most excited about that we've made. And wow, it's not worked. But anyway, let's speak about his exit. Looks like Jadon Sancho's loan back to Dortmund, says Simon Stone from BBC, is close to being completed. Could travel to Germany today or tomorrow. Let's run through the details here. Florian Pletterberg from Sky Germany, who's been sort of leading on the whole story, said it's almost a done deal now. Total agreement between Dortmund and United on the verge of being finalised. And he said this last night yesterday actually, at 2:40 p.m. 6 months loan. Good. We already know that. This is from The Athletic down here, and they are saying the loan agreement is worth a minimum of 3.5 million, and Dortmund will cover a proportion of Sancho's salary, with United potentially receiving bonus payments based on performance. Now, a lot of people have been asking sort of, what's the delay about? What's the delay about? What's the delay about? And it may well be, it is looking very likely, it's down to the terms, which is why this article from Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail is quite interesting, right? Because he's reporting this. Manchester United will have to pay up to £100,000 a week towards Jadon Sancho's wages. Old Trafford sources won't comment on the specifics of the deal, but confirm that a large majority of Sancho's wages will be covered by Dortmund, and additional payments are built into the deal based on his appearances and the Germans qualifying for the Champions League. There's obviously not going to be any obligation or option to buy at the end of the contract, but that's kind of significantly different, that bit there, to what we were discussing early this week. Early this week, we had conversations around United looking like they were paying 60%, if not more, of his wages. Chris Wheeler is reporting that it's actually the opposite, that it will be Borussia Dortmund paying 66% of his wages and that United will pay 1/3. And if that is true, that means that Dortmund are probably going to be making Sancho their highest paid player for this 6-month loan spell, which is quite significant. Obviously, they would be expecting a return and also building in the bonuses, building in. They're good. It's all nice. I think roughly what you're looking at this saving Manchester United is about £5 million. That's how much we'll save on him going to Dortmund and them paying 2/3 of his wages. And if Dortmund do really well and he makes loads of appearances and they get into the Champions League, then United will get more. And if that does happen and Sancho does play a key role in that, then we should quite easily be able to sell Jadon Sancho for north of 40 million in the summer. He's got age on his side. He would have that 5-6 months on his side of form, recent form. Borussia Dortmund might be interested in signing him. Probably won't be able to afford him on a permanent deal, given his wages, unless he fancies taking a massive pay cut, which, spoiler alert, he's not going to. But the best case scenario here for Manchester United, and this might annoy you, and I'm already not looking forward to on Twitter as Sancho gets an assist in Dortmund, and like the immediate revisionism that's going to come is it's going to make me want to bang my head against a brick wall. It's coming. And I really, really hope he does well. In fact, I hope he becomes the Bundesliga's best player when he leaves, because that helps United in getting rid of him. Just because it works for him out there, it does not mean that we've done something wrong here. And I will argue this with a lot of people. Like Erik ten Hag gave him 3 months off mid-season, fully paid. Take yourself out of the spotlight, lad. It's obvious that it's not quite working here at Carrington. You need time to reassess yourself, to reconnect with yourself. Go and heal. Take this 3 months off to heal, regain your fitness mentally and physically, and come back to this club and let's do it. And he didn't. And he didn't and then everything else happened after that. All right. I hope he nails it there. And I'm probably going to nibble on people, I'll be honest, because I can see it happening. There's going to be people saying, oh, United made a big mistake. United have not made a mistake at all. Well, actually, we made a mistake in signing him. Anyway, it should be done today or tomorrow. It looks like the delays have been around the negotiations of how much wages Dortmund are going to be paying. And if it now transpires that Dortmund are paying 2/3 instead of United paying 1/3, then that's good negotiating this week. It means United have done well. All right. I'm going to see what you're saying about Sancho in the comments. Should have fined him for subordination. I don't think a fine was necessary, but I mean, a public apology was, and that never came anyway. Juan saying, if Sancho does well, how much do you think we can get for him? Juan, honestly, I think if Sancho does well between now and the end of the season, then he's a £40 million plus player. There or thereabouts, around about 40 million. How old is he now? 23. Man, I can't believe Jadon Sancho is still this young. 23. That's mad. How is Sancho 23? Like, we've been talking about him for literally years. I think we signed him at 21. It's because he went to Dortmund so early. Anyway. Julian is saying define well. Well is if Sancho helps Dortmund achieve what they want to achieve. Obviously, man, if they win the league, that's achievement number one, because I think Bayern have won like 11 in a row, which is probably going to become 12, let's be honest. But qualifying for the Champions League, I don't know where they are actually in the Bundesliga right now. Are they third? Let's have a look. Leverkusen still ahead of them. Damn, Leverkusen is still top. Jeez. Go on, Xabi Alonso. The only annoying thing I think about Xabi Alonso doing so well at Leverkusen is like, come on, Real Madrid, like Ancelotti, you can have like another year there or something, but just go there. Just make sure that he doesn't go to Liverpool after Klopp leaves, because he's top class, really top class tactically as well. Man, they haven't lost this season in the league. Jeez. Anyway, where are they? They're 5th. Damn. Dortmund are doing crap this year. Dortmund are doing absolutely naff. No wonder they need someone like Sancho. They need like a shot of adrenaline. So there's 6 points off the Champions League spots right now. Let's go. I think that's going to success for them this season is going to be qualifying for the Champions League next year. They are a bit desperate. But anyway, yeah, big up Xabi Alonso. Fair play to him. Something I saw yesterday, which I'm sure you all did as well. And I just laughed. I think I just laughed. Jesse Lingard posted a video of him working out in the gym, and then Paul Scholes just like, don't sit on the fence, Paul, or anything. All right, don't sit on the fence. You can read that for yourself. It seems like Paul Scholes is a little bit frustrated with Jesse Lingard. Jesse Lingard, eh? Another player at Manchester United who was given more than his true value to the team in wages. He was given more in his wages than his true value was. And I mean, that wasn't his fault. That was Manchester United. But what that created was an inflated sense of self-importance, which Ole Gunnar Solskjaer didn't name names, but he said in his interview with Andy Mitten, he said there were quite a few players at that club that thought they were better than they were. And a big driver for that is players getting too much too soon. Players getting champions' wages when they are not champions. And Jesse Lingard is part of that. It's why he had to leave. It was why it was correct that he left. I'll tell you what, probably the biggest mistake that Jesse Lingard made was rejecting that move to West Ham. Man, look at West Ham now. He could have been part of that. Instead, he's doing knee raises in Dubai somewhere in a gym. Yeah, it was. I quite enjoyed that. I'll be honest. I quite enjoyed that comment from Scholes, and it's just Lingard is just part of that cultural problem at Manchester United, where because we've not won anything for so long, Manchester United flexed our financial muscle and brought players in on big wages. And a lot of players still did want to come to us. Like even when we were out of the champion, I think we signed Pogba when we weren't in the Champions League, didn't we? And then yeah, of course we did, because then I think that first year we won the Europa League. Or wrong, I might have got that wrong. Was it 2016? I think it was. I think it was then. But that's what we need to change at this club. The top earner should be your absolute best player, indispensable player. Right now, our top earners are Casemiro and Varan. The Varan one's going to be very interesting. Very interesting as to what happens with Varan. Because if he wants to keep competing at the top level, then he'll stay at Manchester United. But the only way he stays at Manchester United is if he signs a new deal on reduced wages. And I just feel at this moment in time for his career, given the fact that Rafa Varane has won everything, right? And he's 30 and he's a family man, I think he'll probably look towards Saudi Arabia for a year or two, making an absolute buck and then going out on a high. But he's only 30, so he technically got a lot. He's got plenty of years left in him, but it's the drive, man. He's won 4 Champions Leagues. He's won everything he needs to win as a player. He's won the World Cup, for goodness sake. Like, Varane has completed football. He doesn't have to stay at Manchester. I mean, if he wants to win the Premier League, great. That's another little bit on top. But he's completed football. So it depends whether Varan at this point in time, after everything that he's achieved in his career, looks and goes, you know what? I'm still driven enough that I want to win the Premier League and try and win the Premier League once. So I will take a nice big chunky wage cut. Or I'm going to go to Saudi Arabia and probably increase my wages, play in the sun for a few years, and set my family and set my son and set his sons up for life. That's the conversation that Varan is going to be having with himself and with his family. And my personal opinion is that he would choose Saudi. And I don't think anybody can begrudge him for that because of the success that he's already had in his career and the age that he is. It's not like moving to Saudi Arabia when you're like 23 or 24 and you're in your pomp and you've got your best years ahead of you and you're literally just dashing that all to the side just to make a bit of money. It's about maximizing the last few years. Mate, football's not a big career. Well, that's a stupid way to put it. Football is a big career. It's not a long career. Footballers retire typically before they're 35. Retirement age in the UK is another 30 years on top of that. I thank you very much, man. Pyro. Thank you very much, dude. Gifting 5 memberships. Jeez. Joe, surely you know the answer to that question, but I'll answer it for you. When you're already on millions, how can you not be set for life? Your life is reflective of how much you earn. If you don't have much, you will be brilliant at maximizing everything that you can. You'll be looking after the pennies and you'll be stringent on what you do. If you're a millionaire, your life will be more flamboyant. You will spend more money on certain things and you will get used to and accustomed to a lifestyle which is more expensive. And also then if you've got family and you've got sons, you want to then set... I mean, it's obvious, right? It's obvious. But anyway, I personally think that Varan will leave because I just don't see... I don't see his drive for winning the Premier League to be strong enough to accept what would likely have to be, I would say, around about a 50% pay cut. Because I think that would just be too much of a slap in the face. Because it is a bit of a slap in the face, but he's on 340 grand a week and he's never going to get that. And it means we might lose Varan for a free. I think losing Varan for a free and then moving to Saudi Arabia is the most likely scenario. Let's find out. Little sort of tidbit here, little side story again. PSV still leading the Pellistri race. I personally think Pellistri will leave. I think Amari Forson will come into the first team environment, and that'll be that. We've got Amed Diallo who will take the minutes ahead of Pellistri, and we spoke about this yesterday, and there's quite a few people who are angry that Pellistri's not been given more opportunities. I think there was a 3-game period this season, 2-3-game period. I can't remember exactly who it was, but I know it started with Bayern Munich away. That's where Pellistri started, and we were all kind of pleasantly surprised at that. Didn't really impact the game enough. And then he started the week after in the Premier League. I can't remember who that was against. But again, he didn't impact the game enough. So there was a period where he got like 2-3 games starts in a row, and he didn't do enough. And I think kind of since then, he's kind of been on the periphery. Even with Anthony being on poor form, he's kind of been on the periphery. And now that Amad's come back up, look, when you compare Amed and Pellistri is more of a traditional, typical, old school winger. Square up with your man, knock it past, sprint, head up, cross in. That's Pellistri's game. Amed is significantly more technical. And I'll be totally honest, I want Manchester United to really raise the technical floor quality of our squad. And by that, I mean quality with the ball at your feet. It's not just a game where you rely on muscles and pace and knocking it into space, which is good to a certain degree. But this technical floor of our club has to be raised so much higher, right? We've got Fabrizio. Thank you very much in the comments, by the way. Sometimes the comments are a good place, and sometimes you actually do let me know when news breaks, and sometimes you just try and troll me. This is not one of those times, which is nice. Here we go. Let's see if there's any actual genuine update here from Fabrizio, or if he's just repeating the same thing. Let's have a look. Borussia Dortmund and United are in direct contact again today, as the Jadon Sancho deal is finally close to being completed. Talks on final details underway. It will be a low move with no buy option as expected. Dortmund optimistic to seal it soon after Matson. Well, thanks for that non-update, Fabrizio. Really appreciate that. That's the latest on Sancho, which is basically what I already discussed earlier. Akash, man, thank you very much for this, dude. You're saying fantastic insights on Dan Ashworth. Do you have any thoughts on the Glazers installing a puppet and rejecting the prospect of Blanc as CEO? Player power situation at United makes us look really bad. Akash, are we speaking about that situation? Is that next on the list? That might be next on the list. But it's definitely worth a conversation. Let me see if it is next on the list. No, we've got one more thing before we move on to that. And we speak about the CEO next. All right. But yeah, back to the final point I was trying to make there. I understand why Ten Hag is choosing and preferring Amed over Pellistri. We need better footballers, better ballers, higher football IQ, better natural talents with the ball at their feet. That's what we need. Bring that air of unpredictability to every single position, and we will be a better football club as a consequence. That's why Garnacho is so dangerous on that right-hand side, by the way, and why, as it stands, the couple of games where he's played there, people are like, I don't really know what to do, because you don't know whether Garnacho's, he works with both feet. He can go on the inside. He can go on the outside. Against Wigan, he went on the outside, little drop of the shoulder, whipped in across for Højlund on his right foot. Then, what was it, 10 minutes later, he cut inside on his left foot, unleashed a shot that came back off the bar. Two completely different things, both from the same player in the same position, which is what has annoyed so many people about Anthony. And look, right, I share your frustrations about Anthony now. And I think it will be really interesting to see what happens. Truth be told, I expect Anthony to be given another season. But I think I already know what the end of that conclusion. I know what the conclusion of that story is. But would Manchester United really be willing to sell Anthony? Let's be honest, if we tried to sell Anthony, we would probably get something in the region of 20 to 30 million. He's got resale value, but he's not got resale quality as it stands. So I think he'll probably get another season. But my word, I think I know the end of it. I had a point there I was trying to raise, but I completely forgot what it was. Anyway, let's move on to this man, right? Because this is, I don't know whether this would happen. I don't know whether this will happen. But Martinez, again, you got Chris Wheeler saying this, right? He is chomping at the bit, which I don't doubt whatsoever. How old is Anthony? 23. Same age as Sancho. Martinez is saying here he's targeting Spurs as a possible date for his return. I mean, I want that to be true. And I want him to be completely and utterly fit. But Ten Hag and this may well just be Ten Hag keeping his cards close to his chest, right? Speaking about players that he thinks could return from injury this weekend, he spoke about Eriksen, he spoke about Luke Shaw, and he said maybe Harry Maguire. Mason Mount's not ready yet. His calf injury is worse than it first feared. Man, he's been injured. But no mention of Martinez and no mention of Casemiro. So either Ten Hag is keeping his cards close to his chest and Martinez might make a surprise return to the squad. Very much doubt the starting 11, but return to the squad. Or we're looking at, I feel sorry. You have to laugh a little bit. It's not funny for them. Although, they'll enjoy the day. it's looking like our game against Newport or Eastleigh is where we're going to probably see the likes of Martinez, Casemiro, Mount, Shaw, Maguire. Like it's going to be like a who's who of all the main first team players who are injured are probably going to be available for that game against Newport or Eastleigh, which is the perfect game for them to return. Now, in my opinion, I know this game against Spurs is big, right? Any game against any team between now and the end of the season that's in and around us, we've got to be looking at winning, right? Because this top four chase is going to be difficult enough without winning these. Like, we need to be winning these games. It's not going to be an easy game at all. At least we're at home, but our home form's been put this season. So Martinez might return against Spurs, but I don't think he will. Now, somebody who will be available against Spurs, well, apparently, right, is Onana. And I've got to be honest, there's part of me which is, as I said, it's a bit of a confusing situation because it's I don't know what that does for Bayindir's confidence. However, the fact that Onana, he's clearly worried about losing his spot to Bayindir and that he'll nail it and then he comes back. So Bayindir must be doing something in training, because if he wasn't good in training, Onana wouldn't have that fear. However, Onana made an absolute cracking save against Wigan. Came out, got down, really, really top draw save. We kept a clean sheet because they didn't really do anything else after that. And he wants to succeed at United. And I can't be angry at a United player for doing that, for prioritizing United over returning to the Cameroonian team. I can't begrudge him for that. I don't think you can't begrudge him for that either. It's all down to performances. If Onana starts against Spurs and nails it, there's going to be no United fan going, "Ooh, Onana's weird and that's annoying." I can see it in the comments up there. No one's going to say a peep, and he's putting that own pressure on himself, which could work both ways. I think he'll probably start now because it looks like he's not going to be playing for Cameroon the next day. BC, you're saying I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. We keep saying that we want to have players that want to play for United, that give their all, and then we've got a player here now who's literally delaying as much as possible to join his international team because he wants to play for Manchester United, and so many of us are angry about it. And it's like, what do you want? Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want this? It's all down to his performances, right? I thought, as I said, he didn't have anything to do against Wigan apart from that really important save in 2 minutes. If Wigan had gone 1-0 up there, and they could easily have done that, by the way. It was a good save. But let's see. Against Spurs, it'll be a whole different kettle of fish. Although, let's be honest, against Spurs in the first half this season, man, we were good. I think that's where Onana did his best pass of the season. Remember that one? He came like 40 yards out of his box against Spurs, I think, away, and just pinged the ball. I think it was to Garnacho. Pinged a like 60-yard ball right over the top to the edge of the Spurs box. And I was like, damn, that was good. Anyway, let's see. But somebody who will be at the game, segue, somebody who will be at the game on Sunday is Jim Ratcliffe. So for the first time since the 25% takeover, he is going to be at Old Trafford in the director's box. So you're likely going to get photos, maybe. Might get a photo of Ratcliffe with Fergie. You'll probably get photos of Ratcliffe with Brailsford. Will Jean-Claude Blanc be there? He was there against Wigan. And I'll be speaking about Jean-Claude Blanc next, and also about the new CEO position, article from The Athletic this morning. But Ratcliffe's going to be there. And presence isn't everything. Trust me, I know that presence isn't everything. But first impressions are important. Just in anything you do in life. And first impressions for Ratcliffe are important, which is exactly why he spent 3 days last week at Old Trafford, at Carrington, meeting all the staff, holding a face-to-face meeting with all staff at Old Trafford, by the way, which the Glazers never did once. Meeting Ten Hag, meeting the players, meeting the women's team, probably met some academy players too. He's making the right impressions as a co-owner at this point in time. Of course, we're still waiting for the deal to be fully ratified, and that's where we're going to get the information, I hope, that we're waiting on. What's the vision? What's the actual plan? Who's actually coming into the roles? That's what we need to see. But look, this next conversation is going to be an interesting one. Okay, if I can ask you quickly, ladies and gents, if you can drop a like on the video, this does make a big difference. Honestly, that's why in 2024 I want United People's TV to be the place where United fans know they can go to for best community in the world and the actual conversations we have here on the live show, and B, for genuinely top quality content where you can learn from it. That's what I want these videos to do. It's not about educating. It's about letting United fans learn about topics and anything that's happening around our club. Because there's so much United content out there online. I feel this is the niche of United People's TV. This is what makes us different to any other platform. And it's harder, it's more expensive, and it's a lot more time intensive to do. But I think it's worth it. I think so anyway. So if you haven't watched that video, make sure you go and do it, because a big and you know what? I'm actually going to say this now. This is it's the vicious circle of content online. That video there took between 1 and 2 weeks to research, to script, to redraft the script, to collect all the footage, to collect and create all the visual engagement elements, to choose the music, to edit it all together, to do version 1, 2, 3 of the draft. There was a lot of work went into it. And then a video that I did yesterday, which took me a couple of hours to put together, more people have watched. And that's the vicious cycle that you get stuck into with United content, because this content is so much more rewarding, but because it's so much more expensive and intensive to create, if it doesn't do as well as a video that takes 2 hours, then someone's going to be like, well, what's the point in doing it? We may as well just focus on the low-hanging fruit, because that's what people are more engaged with and watching. And that is that's that vicious circle. Danny saying maybe the long video was timing. I released it at 7 p.m. Maybe it was timing. I don't know. But yeah, big Mavinsky saying it down there. More meaningful content is unfortunately, it's not pushed anywhere near as much as the low hanging fruits, the easy content, and that's what I'm trying to break this year. I'm trying to switch that, because I'm telling you, if we manage to and we achieve it, and I think we can, then all the other United channels will have to react, because there will be a drive towards more quality, which is better quality content for you. And I prefer doing these ones, by the way. These are so much more enjoyable because it's rewarding. It's like a video you can be proud of. I think so anyway. Speaking of proud, Gungshi. I don't know how many times I've hit this gong because of you, dude. But again, like I've always said, all the generosity that comes into this and bringing new members into the community, by the way, join the Discord. Join it now. This is the sort of stuff I'm investing in. It's not cheap, but it's worth it. And that's what I mean. The community is sort of self-serving. We grow it, and then there was a comment yesterday that was left that was really nice, actually. I might even bring this one up. Sometimes I read the comments on videos. That one in particular, I wanted to read the comments on because of how much work went into it. But there was this comment here I'm gonna bring up that was really nice. So big up to you, Volk New. right, said this, right? Said, I've been following all the United channels from their very beginning, Sam, and I've seen each one's journey. I must say, out of all of them, your channel is the one that truly continues to evolve and grow. Take note, many others are saying similar things to me. You are doing something right, so don't stop. Keep up the great work. I'm excited to witness the ongoing evolution of the channel and see you maintain the impressive trajectory. Lovely, lovely English there. But I'm glad that it was a comment that stuck out to me because I am trying to really evolve the channel, take it up another level. And I need you all to come on the journey with me, right? So big up to everybody. And just that comment was really nice. Sometimes there are nice comments. Sometimes there's comments saying that my ex left me because I'm haggard and I drink too much after drinking 1 can. And then you get ones like that, ups and downs. But look, let's have a little conversation about this. How Manchester United will set about appointing a chief executive. Because truth be told, and this is the fear that a lot of people understandably have, is Ratcliffe's got 25% ownership and control of football operations, but the Glazers, they still have majority control. And when it comes to the CEO position, right, the CEO position is the chief executive officer. Richard Arnold was the previous chief executive, and that was appointed by the Glazers. Prior to that, it was Ed Woodward, and that was appointed by the Glazers. The chief executive officer is somebody who is going to be working in both the football operations and the business operations. So while we can talk about director of football and head of recruitment and all of these positions, it's the CEO position which is going to have the crossover between what the Glazers are in control of and what Ineos are in control of. And that's where this conversation has come from around Blanc. You know what? I've done a video on Blanc before. I think he would be a fantastic CEO. Maybe it wouldn't be a CEO per se. Maybe it'll be a different job title. Maybe it'll be something specifically in the football side of things. But they're saying here that, look, numerous sources at United and Ineos, speaking on the condition of anonymity, have poured cold water on the idea of Jean-Claude Blanc being United's new CEO. Now, that's not to say that Jean-Claude Blanc wouldn't be involved in Manchester United. Remember right now that Blanc is the director of, he is the whole director of sport for Ineos. He's overlooking all their sports teams, the Grenadiers, Nice, sailing, their involvement in Mercedes, AMG, in the F1. So Blanc's already got a lot on his plate. And the question I've always said, like, surely you'd have to give up those positions to come into Manchester United if he was going to become the CEO. Shiv Neal, you're saying, I thought the Glazers won't have a say. And as I've said before, and I'll say it again. When it comes to the position of CEO, that's the one that crosses over between football and commercial. Head of recruitment, strictly football, pure Ineos. Director of football, strictly football, pure Ineos. And anything to do with the manager or playing staff or anything like that, pure football, all Ineos. CEO is the one position that will cross over. So the Glazers will have a say here. And it's going to be interesting. I think there was another little point down here, which I just mentioned there. Look, every CEO, apart from Martin Edwards, was appointed from within. I mean, I have no idea who you're going to be looking for from within. What, you got Patrick Stewart right now, who's the interim CEO, who was a chief legal counsel before. Is that James right there with a really good comment, which I think is, again, I wouldn't be surprised to see this split. Why not create a sporting CEO and a commercial CEO? It almost feels like because the Glazers are so greedy, Man United is just getting cut up and split and shared among the greedy people. Whereas what we should be is Manchester United Football Club and everything that falls underneath it, and we all are on the same path together. But the Glazers are not on the same path, yet they refuse to sell. And nobody can force them to sell. They own it. I know that we want to think that we can force them to sell, but we can't. And they could, if they wanted to, just sit on our football club for 20 years and just watch us burn. They won't because they care so much about money. That would be them burning their own money. But they technically could. And there's not really much that we could do about it, as terrifying as that is. So that's why they split it down into them holding onto the commercial operations and passing the football operation responsibility over towards Ineos. But yeah, this CEO position, I wanted to, I would love Jean-Claude Blanc as a CEO. I think he could be an incredible leader for the football vision of our club. But maybe, as James said down there, maybe you could be splitting it down. You can get a commercial CEO and a sporting CEO. I mean, that would be complicated. It would be complicated. Akash, I don't know why the authorities forced Abramovich to sell Chelsea. We need to go and do a little bit of reading about why the authorities forced Abramovich to sell Chelsea. Because it wasn't to do with footballing performance. All right? It wasn't to do with how they were running the club. It was to do with Abramovich and links with Ukraine and sanctions, government sanctions. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting one. That was an interesting topic. Man, 57 minutes. We really do go for an hour every day now. We used to do these like 40 minutes, but there's always so many good talking points. I think Blanc will be involved, right, in some capacity in the club. I don't know how. I don't know how close it will be. It may well be that Blanc does stay in his position as Ineos's sort of director of sport overall. And he does oversee United, but kind of from afar, as one of 5-6 operations that he's looking at. Or he becomes CEO. Let's find out. But Dave Brailsford would definitely be involved. I see him as like the chairman. But maybe the chairman's the wrong way. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in today. And as I said, thank you all for supporting this video. These videos are what I'm going to, whenever I release one, I would love the whole community to get involved and help drive them upwards. Addicts, you're saying, Sam, do you have any time for scouting videos these days? That's a really good comment there. And I'll put this out here, right? In the community, I'll ask this. So what I'd love to bring on to United People's TV is 1 or 2 people who want to get involved in like the research side of videos, because the research is quite taxing. It's difficult to do properly. Has to be factually spot on. And we've got Steve, big up Steve, who's sort of leading with the research, but we could really do with 1 or 2 more faces to get involved on the research side of things. Now, in its early stages, I can't offer any money for it. It's just, it will be you jumping in to sort of help the community and in terms of the quality of the videos we can do. But just like anybody who's come on, the pay positions emerge. Like Joe has been helping and now he's on as a community manager. Big up Joe. Who else? Steve got involved as a researcher at the beginning and now he's in a paid role as the lead researcher. So if there's anybody that wants to, please slide into my DMs on Twitter at United People's TV or email me, right? info@thepeople. I'll leave my email down here, right? If you'd like to get involved, then I'll put that there. Have I missed a super chat? 1 second there. Sorry, dude. My bad, dude. You're saying, like, I watch a lot. Thank you very much, dude. I watch a lot of streams, and this is the only channel I watch where the majority of the chat are members. What a community, mate, it is. And look, that's because you've got people like Chris and Gungshi and Piralas and Gungshi again. And oh man, Stu, you gifted 5 memberships too. Everybody gifts. It's a community which sort of, it's self-serving. And that's the best part of the community. You. Little tickle down there. Apologies, I missed a super chat. Let me make sure I didn't miss any other ones. No, there's only one. Big up to all of you. That was a nice little monologue at the end there. I'm going to work on today's video. I think I might do something on United structure overall. Not quite sure. I'll release it at lunchtime, as I always do, somewhere around about the 1:30 mark. Big up to all of you. Much love, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Take it easy.